Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and that the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
What's your, is it deemed?
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hey everybody, thank you for being here for another ATS News live stream. We are talking about the Karen Read trial. We had a big day today in court. There was the cross-examination of Jen McCabe. For those who don't know who she is the person who made that really questionable Google search at 2:27 in the morning. For those who don't know what that is, I will pull it up right now. Now, John's body wasn't discovered by anyone until 6 something in the morning. So when Celebrite, which is the program used by law enforcement, and actually cell phone companies use them as well. That's how they transfer your information and all that. But it is used by law enforcement as well. They pull up and they realize Jen McCabe is searching how long to die in cold at 2:27 in the morning. She then deleted it and then researches it 2 more times at 6:23 in the morning and 6:24 in the morning. Those were not deleted. Now, everyone's been kind of wondering, is this a smoking gun in the case? Is this really what's making people have doubts with her guilt? I wouldn't say that this is the only thing that has given me doubts, but this definitely has a heavy weight in, wondering like what exactly took place that night. Curious what you guys think. Thank you, Pointer Lover. I think you're my only mod here right now. Is this sound okay? I just realized I forgot to ask. And yes, everyone hit the like button. Hello, Dustin, Sherry, Tony, everyone who's here right now, Bean Buying Girl, Eli, Lame Staley, good to see you. Mike is here. Melly, thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, Melly, I'm going to give you a wrench as well, just so I have a couple more mods in our chat. So her cross-examination was over 3 hours. There's no way we're going to be doing 3-hour live stream or longer than that tonight. You guys know I like to really keep them under 2 hours for those who watch replay. And so we're just going to kind of watch a little bit and talk through and then read some highlights on her testimony and just talk about what we can in the time frame that we have. So actually, I don't even have my glasses down here right now, so I'm going to have to go get them. Actually, I'll just text my husband, have him bring them down. All right, so give me a second to change my screen. What I have here is, oh, thank you, Being Bio Girl. I will mod you right now. Give me one sec. So yeah, Court TV actually came out with their own segment too recently. So I think we'll go through that. It's like 23 minutes long. This one is a minute long and it is titled Tense Exchange Between Witness Defense in Karen Read Murder Trial. So let's get started, guys. Oh, hello, Johnny. How are you?
The jury has been listening to the cross-examination of Jen McCabe, a prosecution witness who was at the house party in Canton, the location where John O'Keefe was eventually found. McCabe has been clashing with defense attorney Alan Jackson, who has been questioning her aggressively about her account of what happened on the night of January 28th and the early morning hours of January 29th, 2022. McCabe testified again this morning that Karen Read confessed on scene.
But I can tell you today with 100% clarity, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
The defense theory of this case is that John O'Keefe was not struck by Karen Read's SUV, rather that he was involved in a fight inside the house. McCabe also testified that she did not hear an argument or a collision outside the house. Testimony continues at this hour. Reporting at Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham, Todd Kiskiewicz, WC.
So that was only a snippet. So there were times I was watching a little bit of attorney Melanie Little's stream on it, as well as Defense Diaries. I'm very busy during the day with my little one, and it was nice out today. So I really recapping this tonight with you guys. Some of it is going to be the first time that I'm kind of seeing it. But what I did catch from it today, there were times where she was going back and forth with Jackson, the defense attorney for Karen. And there were times where, you know, people in the live chat and, you know, all around Facebook, from what I've seen, are saying like she's a hostile witness. So it was very tense for sure. And Justice Jane says, laws of mercy. Karen Read is guilty as homemade sin. See something, say something. And we welcome everyone's opinion here. Is there a relation between John O'Keefe and Jen? They were friends. So she was texting, or I'm sorry, yeah, Jen McCabe was texting John O'Keefe the night of, after they left the bars and everyone kind of got the invite. It says, so I've got this little timeline. 12:14 a.m., Jennifer McCabe calls John O'Keefe to give him directions to the Albert home. 12:15, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe and Ryan Nagel say they see Karen Read's car outside of the home. 12:27 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts O'Keefe, here. 12:29 a.m., O'Keefe answers a call from Jennifer McCabe. 12:30 a.m., witnesses say Colin Albert leaves the Albert residence. 12:31 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts John O'Keefe, pull behind me. 12:40 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts O'Keefe, hello. 12:42 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts O'Keefe, where are you? 12:45 a.m., Jennifer McCabe texts John O'Keefe, hello. 1:30 a.m., the McCabes leave the Albert residence with Julie Nagel and another friend, Brian Albert Jr., and drop off the women home before returning to their homes. So she was, you know, the main person texting John, you know, to make sure that they had the directions there and, you know, instructing them where to park and, you know, type of conversations like, come on in. But they all claim that he never made it inside. Before we play this, I would love to read the comments from her cross-examination. So it's not on the screen. I've got it on a different tab. But let me read some of the top comments before we get into this. So somebody wrote, and this is on Court TV's Jennifer McCabe cross-examination that was live today. These are the comments. So they're like 4 hours old. I love how absolutely no one has brought up the fact that John was over 6'1", 220 plus pounds. Why is it just the taillight busted? Why are there no dents anywhere around that area? And why were there no fragments of light embedded in his head or around his face? Get the F out of here. And that has 56 likes. Somebody else writes, if the jury has to be asked to play stupid in order to accept a person's testimony, that is a blatant indication that the person's deception. Jennifer McCabe, all by herself, is putting doubt in everyone's mind. So for those, and that has 51 likes, for those who see it, who saw her testimony today, do you think that you felt more clarity after? Hi, Shmita, good to see you. Or did you think, like that comment says, that she herself has been putting doubt in everyone's mind? Now that had, like I said, 51 likes. Apparently Trooper Proctor didn't record what she actually said. Seriously? Then it says he should be fired. This is a high profile case involving a deceased cop outside an ex-cop's house. Well, he is being investigated by the FBI, so perhaps he will be fired eventually. It is absurd to think all these people are involved in a cover-up. What is their motive? It's just ridiculous. And that only has 5 likes. So I like to read the comments to kind of get a feel for what does the public feel about, this whole trial so far, specifically her cross-examination. Jackson is absolutely crushing psycho evil McCabe, 55 likes. Can't wait to hear the expert witnesses concerning the car, the autopsy, and the phone records. She talked to her family and friends to get her story straightened up, but she forgot to straighten it up with what she already testified to Trooper Proctor in the grand jury. If there was no foul play involved, she should have no problem stating what she actually saw. No need to compare notes. And then this one says, in quotes, to be honest, I had a few grand juries. Well, if you were telling the truth, you wouldn't need to refer to the documents. Because there were times where she asked to see the documents that she was being cross-examined on and questioned about. Hi, Debbie Fox and everyone else who's here. And thank you to the mods that I have given wrenches to. Appreciate you guys so much. So yeah, we'll read more comments, but let's get into her exactly. So hit that like button and let's get into it. Pointer Lover says, I missed all of today. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping this recap on Court TV, I don't know if anyone has seen this, kind of just came out. Yeah, that Jennifer today was frustrating. Yes, her referring to a documents meant she didn't want to mess up her storyline. Yeah. And that reminds me, for those who follow the Watts case with me, is when NK, the mistress, is being questioned about things over the phone by the agent. And she says, I wish you guys would just show me the phone records so that I can kind of refer to them and figure out, what you're asking. It's like, why would we need you to verify it by looking at things? Like, if you're telling the truth, it shouldn't change. It shouldn't leave your mind. You shouldn't need to refer to your notes. That's how I see it. Hello, Valerie, and everyone else who's joined. Yeah, such a cloudy case, no clarity in really anything except no one was sober, and that's the starting point, right? Very unfortunate, too. Okay, so I wonder what the comments are on here. This has only been out for an hour. She does not seem credible to me. 4950 likes. I like that. Why are they all so defensive? They remind me of the type of people to cause drama so they have something to gossip about. She truly was unlikable. Also, I'm going to ask all my friends how many butt tiles they have ever made recently. And I'll ask you guys in chat. I mean, recently, put a 1 in chat if you've been butt dialing people. Put a 2 in chat if you haven't butt dialed anyone since you had like a little Nokia phone, like back in the early 2000s. I mean, really though. It's clearly an epidemic that is running rampant up there, right? The butt dials. I'm trying to be unbiased, but these angry, confused, cherry-picking memories of all these people are making it so hard. 45 likes. Is it possible that Karen dropped them off and someone else struck them with their car? Since it seems like they were all the town, it seems like all the town was drunk. Yeah, and we kind of theorized that as well, and And some people think, well, they would have came forward and they would have said something and said it was an accident. I don't believe that. I don't think, based off of what we've seen from these people, I don't think they're the type of people to come forward and say, yes, I actually hit him on accident. I just don't see that ever happening. I think it's definitely a possibility. Not sure about you guys. Let me see. So I see Pointer Lover has butt dialed. Okay. Hey, Melanie, good to see you. Yeah, I just haven't. You know what I have done is on Facebook Messenger. If I'm talking to someone on there, sometimes especially Roxanne, there's times where she's like, did you just try to call me? Like on Facebook Messenger. Sometimes on there it'll happen, but that's totally different. That's like me in an app accidentally like hitting it. She's a liar. Yes, she should be charged for this testimony of lies. Of course, she deleted multiple messages and phone call records. 100% sure. I feel in my heart they were all lying on that lady Karen. 53 likes. Okay, let's get into this.
Their text to be kept secret and private. Isn't that right?
Not secret and private. We just weren't going to communicate certain things over text.
Did you give, or did anybody give you any private information the next day on January 30th?
Didn't even give me private information.
So let me put it in context. That text from Nicole Albert, we'll get more info tomorrow. I don't want to text about it. That was on the 29th, right?
Okay.
You saw it. Did you get additional info on the 30th, the next day?
I have no idea.
Did anything significant happen on January 30th in connection with this case? Any meetings, any get-togethers, anything that you can think of?
I went to the O'Keefe's house.
Other than that, anything else?
On the way home, Kerry Roberts' daughter is good friends with Michael Lank. So we dropped her off at Michael Lank's house. And
see, when she talks so slow like that and enunciates, like, we dropped her off. It's like, for me, if I was on the jury, it's not sounding believable. It's sounding like you're being very careful with what you're saying on purpose. The calls she made, then deleted, them looking for John's phone. Yeah, that's the big theory out there. She calls John's phone over and over, claims they were butt dials on accident. People have said, almost seems like they were looking for John's phone. So I definitely could see that as a possibility. Deleting the messages with the daughter was interesting to me, and the thought crossed my mind that it would be wild if the daughter had hit him. Yeah, I think anything is possible at this point because I'm not believing the Commonwealth's theory. And the defense is just throwing so many things out there. You know, I could see so much reasonable doubt being sowed in so many areas, you know, with Colin, Brian Higgins. It's very interesting. Also, her here saying to people, hi, Tony, sounds like she's trying to remember what was rehearsed, in my opinion. Exactly. And like other people have pointed out, all of the witnesses for the Commonwealth have been using the same phrases. I do not recall. Can I, see those documents? Like they want to reference it. Other statements too, that they've just been repeating over and over, each of them. So it sounds very, very rehearsed. Yeah, defense is on fire. I agree. Today was really entertaining to watch, and not a lot of trials are like captivating in that way. Like I know that, like when we're following certain cases, it's like we're just trying to get justice for the victims. Like I'm not supposed to be entertained, but seeing the defense cross-examine her today, I was like, ooh, when I did have time to watch, I didn't want to look away. So her saying here through text message to people that she didn't want to continue the conversation in text messages, to me is also a red flag, because it's almost like she's acknowledging she doesn't want there to be record of what they're talking about.
And Mike's wife came out of the house, him and Carrie are friends, and she, jumped in the car and was consoling Carrie and asks how the O'Keefes were doing. And, we talked to her.
So you pulled up to Michael Lank's house on the 30th. That's never been reported, has it?
I guess I never thought much of it.
Never thought about reporting the fact that one of the first responding officers on the case, working for Canton PD, which is completely off the case, you had a meeting with that was unreported the next day?
I didn't meet with Michael Lank.
I see. So you pulled up in the car. Tell me about that again. You pulled up in the car and what happened?
And Lex, her daughter, went into the house.
Okay. And then you just drove away?
No. Michael's wife came out of the house.
Okay. And y'all had a conversation about what?
She got in the car and her and Carrie are friends, and she was checking on Carrie and, just saying, oh my God, this is so crazy, just checking in on the O'Keefes.
How long did that take?
Well, Carrie's the talker, so could have been an hour.
Could have been an hour standing outside?
Sitting in the car.
Sitting in the car on February 30th. Never came in the house?
Not February 30th.
I said February 30th. January 30th. Never went in the house?
I might have ran in to go to the bathroom.
It's the back end of a blizzard. It's freezing cold outside.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in the car for an hour?
The car was running, Carrie, and they were talking. It's her friend.
Did you have any conversation before your testimony today with anybody about you going to Michael Lank's house on January 30th? Anybody?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Who was it and when?
It was a couple of weeks ago at the DA's office.
The DA's office had an interview with you, correct?
Not an interview. They just explained this process.
I mean, a conversation? How about that?
Yeah. Yes.
You met with folks at the DA's office. Who'd you meet with?
Mr. Lally, Miss McLaughlin, Steve Nelson, Trooper Brian Tully, I believe, and another woman, I can't remember her name, unfortunately.
Someone from the DA's office?
Yes.
Beelan?
No.
Lynn Beelan?
No, she's here today. She works with Steve Nelson.
Ah, but an employee of the DA's office?
Yes.
That sounds like a pretty big meeting.
I wouldn't call it a big meeting. There was, 5 of them?
How long did you, 5 of them and then you, right?
My daughter Allie came with me also.
So she's denying that it's a big meeting, even though there's 5 other people, her and her daughter. So that's 7 people. It's just funny the way that she tries to downplay certain things that the defense is like, pretty big meeting. For those who watch Lawyer, he obviously is a lawyer, and he was saying that if she was his witness, so if he was the Commonwealth, they would have prepped her better to control her facial expressions, because there's times where she's just you could tell she's flustered with the defense, and she's rolling her eyes and just looking very odd. People don't like her. We read that comment in that in those comment sections, and people were like, I don't like this lady. So I can only imagine what the jury is thinking as well. I really hope Carrie is the next witness and she drops us all the tea and tells us everything to the court too. I hope so too. I wonder if she'll go tomorrow. Yeah, she seems annoyed. Yeah, she just isn't very likable, which matters if she's your witness.
The meeting's getting bigger. Anybody else?
No, we both went.
Was Allie in the room when you were, I was going to say interviewed, but you take issue with every word I used. When you were talked to by the DA?
Allie and I were both in the room when they went over everything, how this all works, because this is all brand new to us. And then they asked me to leave the room.
You were about to say, and I lost the end of that sentence, when they received what?
I didn't mean the word received.
Did you receive anything?
No, I looked at my grand jury notes.
So Jennifer McCabe says she saw Karen Read's car arrive at the Albert residence, did not see Karen Read or John O'Keefe exit the car or enter the home.
Now, at this meeting, was anybody taking notes?
No.
You have a bunch of lawyers and DAs, and nobody has a notepad in front of them? Like notes?
I believe Mr. Lally had a number of folders on the table.
Taking notes? In those
I do not believe anyone was taking notes. It was a casual meeting to explain this process.
Was that meeting recorded in any way that you're aware of?
No.
How long did the meeting last?
Allie and I were probably in the room, I don't know, approximately 20 minutes. Then I left and they spoke with her. And then I went back in and they spoke with me.
How long did they speak with you?
Honestly, maybe half hour.
And during that half hour to an hour, did they go over with you what they expected your testimony to be?
They never spoke about what they expected my testimony to be. They just showed me some pictures that might be shown. I listened to the 911.
What pictures?
Just of the house and how I'd be asked to, show, okay, we're going to put a picture of the house and you'll have a laser.
Mr. McCabe, when we started this conversation, it was because you said, in answer to my question, was anything ever brought up to you about this meeting at Lank's house?
Mm-hmm.
You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they did talk to you about your testimony. It wasn't just about the process, correct?
I asked what discovery had been turned in regard to me.
So you wanted to prepare to make sure that you knew what you might be asked on cross-examination, correct?
I wanted to know what was coming, yes.
And you knew that one of the things was coming after this meeting. Well, let me ask it a different way. During this meeting, did Mr. Lally tell you one of the things that's got to be coming is you had an off-the-books meeting at Lank's house for 45 minutes? Did he tell you that?
No, that's not how I was told.
Did he tell you that the defense had uncovered a report that established that you were actually at Michael Lank's house for 45 minutes that had never been reported to the defense or the prosecution before the phone extraction had been done? Did he tell you that?
I was asked, were you at Michael Lank's on the 30th?
So you've had a lot of time to come up with a story about why you were at Michael Lank's, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it. I didn't need time to make up a story because I have the truth of why we went.
And the truth, according to you, is you pulled up at Michael Lank's house. The first responding officer and friends of the Alberts had a meeting with him the next day that was never reported to anybody for any purpose.
I
just met with his wife out in the car while the car was running for 45 minutes to an hour. That's your story.
It's not a story, it's the truth. Carrie dropped her daughter off. The wife came out. Carrie is a talker.
Is anyone else getting vibes like that she is angry here? Just curious, because I'm picking up that vibe. Melly's picking up that vibe. Melanie said she needs a drink. You can hear how dry her mouth is, which sometimes people say that's a sign of deception. Just saying. So it says Jennifer McCabe drove with Karen Read and a friend to the Albert home, arrived around 6 a.m. to find O'Keefe's body in the snow.
They started talking. A tragedy had happened the day before.
It is interesting, would you not agree, that the day before you had this off-the-books meeting at Michael Lang's house. Nicole Albert says, we'll get more info tomorrow, meaning the very day you show up at Lang's house.
Again, I never spoke with Mike Lang at his house. It was not an off-the-books meeting. It was Kerry dropping her daughter at one of her good friends' house, whose husband happens to be a Canton cop. That is what it is.
I don't believe that for a second. She goes over to she texts somebody and says, we'll get more information tomorrow. The next day, she goes over to the officer's house, Michael Lang, and she's trying to say, well, no, so Carrie's daughter is friends with blah, blah, blah. Like, come on now. It's like, I'm not believing it. I don't know about you guys. Like, obviously there was something to that off the books meeting. And she had texted somebody the day before and said, we'll get more information tomorrow. Meaning that meeting. Let's just see her kind of freak out there again while she's asked that.
That the day before, you had this off-the-books meeting at Michael Lang's house. Nicole Albert says, we'll get more info tomorrow, meaning the very day.
Okay, so she didn't say it to Nicole. Nicole said it to her in text message, but still.
You show up at Lang's house.
Again, I never spoke with Mike Lang at his house. It was not an off-the-books meeting. It was Kerry dropping her daughter at one of her good friends' house, whose husband happens to be a Canton cop. That is what it is. That is the truth.
A lot of coincidences. Do you agree?
Objection.
Christine.
Yeah,
Yes. Let's squeeze in a break while they had that pause there inside of the courtroom, seeming to show some signs of wear there for Jennifer McCabe on day 2 of testimony 2. All of that is key to the murder case against Karen Read. Here's a look at some of the family connections that we're hearing play out in this testimony between the McCabes and the Alberts. Brian and Nicole Albert, who both testified earlier in this case, they were once the homeowners of that house on Fairview Street. Jennifer McCabe, who's testifying now, she's the sister of Nicole and was present on the scene with Karen Read. We also know that these people were present inside of the house in the night in question. Most of them have testified to John O'Keefe, the victim in this case, not entering the house before he was found on the lawn outside of the home. The defense refutes that. Now, this is a look at the people who have testified so far. And right now, Jennifer McCabe, someone who was in that home at a certain point, is testifying now. Let's go back to that testimony under cross-examination by Karen Read's attorney, picking it up right where we left off.
By the way, what did Mr. Lally show you in respect of this issue about this meeting at Michael Lang's house?
He showed me nothing.
He just told you about it.
Brian Tully told me.
Okay, what did Mr. Tully tell you? Trooper Tully, what exactly did he tell you at this meeting about this Michael Lang issue?
He said, did you go to Michael Lang's on January 30th? And at first I said, no, I've never been to his house. And then I thought about it and I said, oh my gosh, yes, I did go there. And that was the extent of the conversation.
How do you forget if you have been to somebody's house or not? So for her to say no, that she'd never been there before, and then she's like, oh my God, then I remembered. How do you not remember? Like, I know they all drink a lot, but come on.
You said, yeah, I did go there, and he didn't ask a follow-up, like, what the heck were you doing at Michael Lang's house the day after this issue?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
You didn't ask a follow-up like that?
I do not believe he did.
So Trooper Tully had you come down for an interview. He confronted you with a fact that had never been disclosed before, to wit, you showed up at Michael Lang's house, and when you said, yeah, oh yeah, hang on, I think your words were, oh my gosh, yeah, I think I did go there. And he didn't ask a follow-up question?
He was there. You're spinning all of this.
Ma'am, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't spin. There's a judge here to make sure that I don't spin. I'm asking you a question. It's very.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I don't spin. I got a judge here to make sure I don't spin. That's hilarious. And hello, Roxanne. I'm so glad you made it. Again, I'm sorry about the loss. I know you had to go to some calling hours. Thank you for being here, though. Chat was asking about you, too.
Very direct.
I do not believe he asked me a follow-up question.
So that was the end of that conversation about Michael Lang, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Lally didn't have any follow-up questions?
I don't believe Mr. Lally was in the room.
Who else? I thought you said Mr. Lally, Mr. McLaughlin.
They were. They might not have been in the room at that time.
I see. So Mr. Lally just happened to, just saunter out?
It was a different time.
So Mr. Lally was in and out of the conversation?
Mr. Lally was not there when this conversation happened.
Well, why is that?
Because I met with Brian Tully and he was not there.
Is Brian Tully taking notes?
No.
He's a state trooper interviewing a witness, and
he was.
Objection.
Sustained.
The same report that has you at Michael Lang's house also has you picking up Nicole Albert going by 34 Fairview just before you went to Michael Lang's house. You aware of that?
We did not pick up Nicole Albert.
So you went by 34 Fairview, then diverted, and right after you went by 34 Fairview, went directly over to Michael Lang's house. What was the reason that you stopped by 34 Fairview first?
We didn't stop by. Maybe Carrie slowed down, but we did not stop by 34.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Perry. They say I keep going back to the same thing. You don't lie unless you have something to hide. And too many of these witnesses are lying. And too many of them, I don't recall. All of them not recalling things. There's been times where the defense has pointed out, in the grand jury, you said this, or you didn't say this in your police notes, but then in the grand jury months later, you threw that in. How come you didn't put that in your, initial notes and reports? So there's been instances in this case, like not only do I feel like people are lying, but I feel like they've altered their statements or changing, the narrative. And that also makes me feel like, okay, so what's going on here? Like, what are they hiding? So yeah, even though I don't know in my mind what exactly happened to John O'Keefe, there's too much doubt in my mind of, like what's going on here? Like I can't get any clarity from the Commonwealth or from the defense. And the only thing that I'm really seeing, and lucky for us, the defense has been able to do this, is pointing out all these inconsistencies and all these statements that are changing. And that just doesn't happen unless there's a reason that they're hiding stuff. I came in with no knowledge of the case, and man, I would say cover up. I would love to see bank records of these folks. I agree. I really hate to, say that, but at this point, okay, Lou, thank you so much. I hate to say that, but at this point, there's just too much doubt for me to just say, like, if I was on the jury, there's no way I would say she's guilty. I can't say exactly what happened or what I think happened, but there's no way I could, label her as guilty. A lot of people have. I mean, there are diehard people who, will come in and in chats and all that, and in these comment sections, and they're very, very adamant that she's guilty, that she did this. She was a jealous girlfriend. She was mad that he was going to break up with her. I don't know where any of that evidence is coming from besides, so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. Like, I haven't seen anything. Being Bio Girl says, I definitely see a mistrial in our near future. Who even seen it happen? Right. No one. And nobody saw. Okay, so last night we talked about why John's body was all the way over on that one side of the yard. Like if you're looking at the house and it was all the way on the left side near the flagpole. And I was questioning, like, why would he be all the way over there if, she dropped him off? Like why, how come his body placement is there and not like closer to the driveway or, even closer to the house, like the front of the house. Instead, he's off to the side. And, people have said, well, they were arguing in the car together and then he got out over there. And then somebody else wrote in my comment section that you wouldn't believe how small that yard actually really is. And I said in response, like, okay, because that can happen. If you guys ever looked at like an apartment or house on Zillow, then you go in person and you're like, whoa, this looked totally different on the website. Like it looks so much like more spacious on the website. And I'm here in person, it looks small. So I was like, that's interesting when they said that the yard is much smaller than it appears. Hi, Brooks. I was like, that's even more troubling than that nobody saw him laying there. Because if the yard is much smaller than it looks like, then all these people who end up leaving that party and going in and out of the house, how are they not seeing him?
Did a drive-by 34 Fairview. Giggles? What?
No, that's how we get to Michael Lank's house.
If the report shows that you actually stopped at 34 Fairview and then went to Michael Lank's house, would we have another oh my gosh moment?
Nope, no oh my gosh moment. We did not pick up Nicole Albert.
Did anybody else go with you over to Michael Lank's house?
No, it was Carrie, myself, and her daughter.
Your Honor, maybe approach it briefly.
Okay. They're taking a sidebar here. And again, we're at the very end of the day for cross-examination, but not the end of this cross-examination. Karen Read's attorney out.
Talked in some detail about your calls with John O'Keefe on the morning of January 29th. Do you recall that conversation? Yes. I want to focus your attention on or at 12:14 a.m., moving up to about 12:50 a.m. You have that time in mind?
Yes.
You've seen the Celebrite extraction from John O'Keefe's phone, which Mr. Lally showed me the other day, correct?
Correct.
And you went through the series of phone calls that were made and that appear on his extraction report, correct?
Correct.
I just want to run through those time-wise very quickly just to orient you, if I can, and then I'll ask you some specific questions about it. There was a call at 12:14 a.m., correct?
Correct.
That was a call that you indicated was answered. You had a conversation with Mr. O'Keefe.
Correct.
There was a call at 12:18 and 47 seconds. That call also was answered by you. John O'Keefe made that phone call, correct?
Correct.
Then there's the 12:29 and 44 second call that you indicated was not answered.
Correct.
And that was a call to you, from you to him.
Correct.
There was a 12:41 call from you to John O'Keefe, correct? That was
correct.
There was a 12:41 and 54 second call from you to him. Is that right?
Correct.
There was a 12:43 and 19 second call from you to him.
Correct.
12:46 a.m. and 16 seconds from you to him.
And have you noticed all these calls to John are, in the seconds? Like, it's not like a butt dial that lasted a couple seconds and you're like, oh crap, I didn't mean to call them. Like, these are going on, like you said, 19 seconds, 16 seconds. Like, they were letting it ring and ring. I have a feeling that Lou doesn't like my opinion on the Watts case. I've been getting trolled in Facebook groups regarding the Watts case. So I have a feeling that that's where that comment comes from. Sorry, not going to change my mind on my stance on things. Sorry you don't like it, but I have a feeling you come from that channel that's been trolling me in the Facebook groups. So yeah, why exactly, if these are butt dials, are they lasting so long? And they're over and over again. Let's hear that again. So it says, Karen Read says she dropped off O'Keefe after a night of bar hopping, went home instead of staying at a party. So let's hang on. Let's listen to that again. Okay, Christina, enjoy your workout. I'm glad you're listening.
There was a 12:41 and 54-second call from you to him. Is that right?
Correct.
There was a 12:43 and 19-second call from you to him.
Correct.
12:46 a.m. and 16 seconds from you to him.
Correct.
12:47 and 52 seconds from you to him.
Correct.
And 12:50 and 37 seconds from you to him, correct?
Correct.
You saw in his extraction report that all of those calls after 12:18 were missed calls, correct?
In his report that you showed me?
Correct. In other words, the only two calls that were answered were the 12:14 and 12:18. Everything else was a missed call.
I believe so. I would have to refer to it again because I've seen so many reports.
And Ms. McCabe, according to the extraction reports that you've seen this morning, comparing yours to his, every single one of those calls was deleted off your phone.
And that's the thing. So if they're innocent butt dials, why are you deleting them from your call log? You know, that makes zero sense to me. And yeah, going back to how did she not see anything in the yard, you know, just looking at those those timestamps that I read earlier in chat, she texts him first she calls him. So Jennifer calls John at 12:14 to give him directions. 12:27, she texts here with a question mark and an exclamation point. Then John answers a call from her at 12:29. And then she texts him at 12:31, pull behind me. Then she texts him again at 12:40, hello. 12:42, where are you? 12:45, hello. So how is she not seeing Karen hit him? Because she testified the other day on Friday that she saw them pull up, that she'd seen Karen's car. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But she just happens to look away at the time that this accident happens. And then at 12:45, her last text to him, you know, before all these butt dials take place, hello. So she never looked outside and was like, I thought that he was coming in, or, you know, what's going on? So how are you not seeing his body out in the yard? Numerous calls were someone calling John after he passed to find the missing phone. Yes, we were theorizing that as well earlier. That makes a lot of sense. And then it's found underneath his body. That's bizarre too. So you get hit by a car in the back of your head, because that's where his real wound sustained. And then your phone is found behind you laying. And then the other thing we pointed out too yesterday, where is his belt? Where is his hat? And where is his other shoe? None of those have been answered, have they, guys? Who was the one who asked John over? Jen? I believe so, yes. Because John wasn't really friends with the Alberts, whose house it was. They were like acquaintances, like knew each other, but he was friends with the McCabes. You wouldn't hang up your own butt dial if you're unaware. Yeah, usually if you butt dial, you don't know it. The call would eventually drop, or someone answered, they hung up. Yeah, and that's what's interesting is her calls. He said, this call lasted for 16 seconds. This one lasted for 19 seconds. Why are they at different times? If it's ringing and ringing and then goes to a voicemail, like it should still be the same amount of time, like seconds on your phone, if that makes sense. I think they found his hat and shoe later, but belt was never recovered. Where? Okay, so Perry, thank you for that. The shoe I heard they might have found, but I've still have not seen any paper trail or indication like, yes, it was found here at this location. The hat, I literally have not heard anybody say that they found the hat. I need to find that paper trail, Perry, if you have the source for that.
Correct? According to the reports.
According to that report, yes.
Let me ask you another question. Have you ever misplaced?
Okay, so if we're going to go with the theory that she's calling John's phone over and over to find the phone, what do you guys remember what time he said that those calls started? Because that would indicate that something happened right away and that they needed to find that phone for a reason. Do you guys remember that? I don't want to rewind it because we've kind of gone past that. But what time did those butt dials start? His phone was missing, right? No, it was 12:40 something. Jeez. No, his phone was found underneath the body. Exploiting and texting Karen Read are major red flags and shows exactly what these men are like. Yes. I agree.
Your phone?
Yes.
In life, everybody does it, right?
Yes.
What's one of the first things you do if you're with your daughter or your husband or a friend and you're in your house and you misplace your phone? What do you do?
I'll ask them to call my phone.
Right.
Mhm.
Even over and over and over, right?
Correct.
Could be as many as 5, 6, 7 times.
Usually I hear it the first or second time.
You're looking for a buzz or a ring, isn't that right?
Correct.
And you might do that if you're searching for a missing phone, correct?
Correct.
With regard to the calls that were deleted from your phone, you were asked about this under oath at another proceeding, weren't you?
Correct.
And you claimed at another proceeding that you had an explanation for all these missed calls starting at 12:29, 12:41, 12:41, 12:43, 12:46, 12:47, 12:50.
Mhm.
You have an explanation for that, right?
Can I see the report?
I'm asking you about your prior testimony.
So he's asking about what she had stated in her testimonies previously about these butt dials. And, you know, she wants to see the report so that before she answers any of his questions further, she can make sure it aligns with something, you know, that she's already stated about them. Like, no, just answer the question. And this is also what lawyer, you know, was saying is he said at this point, he said, it's not the defense attorney's job to show the witness her statements and prep her. That would have been the Commonwealth's job to prep her on, you know, what to say and all that. So all she's supposed to do is answer his questions. That's it. Yeah. Can I please see a list of my previous lies? Right. I want to make sure that my lies now are similar to the lies that I told previously. So can I please see what I lied about? Because, you know, when you tell the truth, you always have to double check your previous statements, right? No, actually, when you're telling the truth, you never should have to reference your statements. It should just always be the same. Yeah, she's so obstructive. And that's why I kind of titled this on the thumbnail, like hostile witness. I think there is a scenario where the kids didn't see him arrive, thus shrinking the conspiracy. Jen was pulled in for cleanup duty to find John's phone after he was attacked. Very interesting, Mike. So many different theories on this case too. Whereas other cases, we've seen like maybe like 2, 3 really popular theories. I've seen a lot of different ones, and every single one, I'm like, I could see that being true, or I could see that happening, or, you know, like there really is so many different things that could have happened to him. And I'm really not feeling like it was Karen's car that hit him.
And I'm asking
About these calls,
yes, I'm asking, can I see it, please?
I'm asking you a different question. At this other proceeding, which you were under oath,
Yes.
right? You explained that these calls were what? These missed calls, incessant missed calls. What were they? You used a word. Matter of fact, 2 words.
I believe I used the word butt dials.
You claimed that every one of these calls was a butt dial. Is that right?
Yes.
So according to you, you literally butt dialed John O'Keefe's phone 6 times in the span of 19 minutes.
Okay, so I know that earlier I asked about who has butt dialed before, and we kind of shared our experiences. So for those who have butt dialed, have you ever done it that many times in a row in 19 minutes? How does that happen? Like, she must have a very magical butt, but I find that very hard to believe. And the thing is, like, having your phone, you need face recognition for it to open, or a passcode. So how is this happening? Yeah, Mike, was she bending over? Completely and utterly implausible. I really hope that that's what the jury is thinking. Pointer Lover, who has admittedly butt dialed before, has said no just once. Yeah, I don't think she has a magic butt, honestly. And I don't think that her face recognition on her phone is confusing her face and her butt, although at this point, that could be possible.
Is that right?
I don't remember making any of those calls. So my assumption is I put my phone in my back pocket, and that was it.
When you dial someone by mistake, you hit a button, set your phone down, the phone has to be open. You'll agree with that, right?
Correct.
Can't be locked. Because it takes several iterations of movement to get a phone open. Face ID or password, right?
Correct.
So when you hit the button by mistake, walk away, that's a butt dial. People call butt dials. What happens with the call?
I assume it goes to voicemail.
It's a good assumption, because that's exactly what it does, isn't it? You've had a phone for a lot of years, right?
Yes.
It rings and rings and rings until it goes to voicemail.
Correct.
So in order to hang up that butt dial, you have to interact with that phone yet again, don't you?
Yes.
So if you had 6 butt dials, 7, I think it's 7 butt dials, you'd not only have to interact with the phone once to butt dial John, you'd then have to interact with it every single time to turn off that phone ringer. So
And that's, you know, where we go back to. If these are all butt dials, then how come some of them are lasting 16 seconds, some of them are lasting 19 seconds? Like, if you're accidentally calling someone over and over, it's going to their voicemail and hanging up, and it's at the same seconds each time. So this just is not making any sense. I know Mike said, thank God the feds are in on this case. The grand jury testimony has been gold. And yet they can't bring up any of the Fed information at all at trial. It's not allowed to be brought up. So very interesting that all this has to be presented to the jury without them even knowing that the feds are investigating this. And there's a reason that they are. Yeah, she's shaking her head no. Right. He can't hang up because presumably he's already gone at that point. I really think that the theory that somebody else hit him is a good one, because something happened right away. Although the feds, now we can't really, the jury doesn't know this, but we know it from those who have watched this case prior. The feds have said a car did not hit John. So even if somebody else hit him and they just don't want to come forward, the feds aren't agreeing with that. So that's also what kind of confuses me. What I learned from this trial is how a butt dial phone call works. Right. That's the only kind of concrete clarity that we've gotten. And it's interesting, all these butt dials taking place and a whole lot of BS being spoken, in my opinion.
It doesn't go to voicemail, wouldn't you?
I suppose.
Which makes 14 interfaces with that phone over the course of 19 minutes. Is that right?
I mean, I guess I don't have it all right in front of me, but there were also text messages I was sending. So again, maybe I said, oh, shoot, I called them, and then I turned it off.
But your claim is you don't remember those incessant butt dials and those incessant hangups.
You know what's interesting too is looking at the timeline of her text messages to John. She's butt dialing him, what they say, 6 times in 19 minutes. And in between those times, she's also texting him. So the butt dials started around 12:40. She sends him a text, hello. 12:42, where are you? It's like, why don't you look outside and look in the yard? Because you saw her car out front. And then she keeps butt dialing him. And then also at 12:45 sends hello. So not only is she butt dialing, but she's sending him text messages, but she also just stated that she put her phone in her back pocket. Planet J says, ew, what is she using to text with? Oh my gosh. I don't know. Higgins' vehicle had a plow on the front. Maybe that could be consistent with his injuries, unlike a normal vehicle. Interesting. Yeah, we have theorized, not that it was Higgins' vehicle with the plow, but just like maybe a regular plow. But yeah, liar, liar, pants on fire. And apparently her pants are butt dialing and text messaging, because she said she put her phone in her back pocket. But now she's saying I was texting him in between all those times. The heck?
At all, correct?
I honestly don't.
So you would have had to forget that you interacted with, by the way, you'll agree that the phone extraction showed that John O'Keefe got no voicemails from you, right?
I didn't look, but.
So that means you would have had to interact with that phone 14 times over the course of 19 minutes at the exact time frame that the Commonwealth suggests John O'Keefe lost his life.
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask that differently, and this will be your last question for today, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The period between 12:29 and 12:50, which is the exact period that you were, quote, butt dialing John multiple times, that's also the exact period that John O'Keefe was rendered incapacitated. Isn't that right?
Objection.
That's sustained. We'll start up again tomorrow, okay?
Thank you.
All right, folks, so I'm going to want to stay there one.
Okay, so that was just kind of the highlights. Let me just pull up her cross. So we read through some of the comments on this. I find them interesting. Let's see what else they said. Jen is the one wearing the pants in the household. She is a control freak. I like how she said many times he was in my bedroom. Either they have separate bedrooms or he's considered one piece of the furniture. She likes to take the lead and needs recognition from everybody in the community. Oh my God, I'm getting a different picture about Jen McCabe and John O'Keefe. I wonder if her husband did not get jealous about the calling and texting and lost it, and Colin and the dog got involved. That would explain the text. Tell them that the man didn't come in the house. Animosity much, and 26 people like that. Interesting. I don't know how you guys feel about that theory. Very shady testimony. Just no wonder the public is outraged. I have not watched anything pre-trial, but the witnesses so far either have not produced evidence of guilt or the witnesses are sketch. It's amazing to me all these police officers out here drinking, then get in their cars to drive. I had no opinion on this case at all until Albert and McCabe family testimonies. So many coincidences. New phones and homes. Oh, and the paramedic and firefighter who went to school with someone named Caitlin Albert. That was a strange answer considering the time they spent together. Even if they weren't good friends, I'd be like, yes, I know her. Ugh, at these half days, the judge has way too much on her plate to have taken this case. I feel so bad for the jury because I know I'd be fed up with it. The defense is doing a hell of a job with reasonable doubt. Yep. That one. Something is really wrong with this lady mentally. She really thinks she's getting this off. She thinks she's owning him and showing him up. She sounds crazy. She is making no sense at all. This is infuriating to me that this is acceptable in the courtroom in such a high-profile case. Why is the judge not telling her he's asking you yes or no questions? Answer with a yes or no. Like, come on. She keeps answering simple yes or no's with 16 sentences. Jen had the hots for John O'Keefe. I kind of think that too. 54 people like that comment. What do you guys think? Do you think there was something there between her and John? Like, not that it was reciprocated from John, but she seemed very like eager and adamant to get him over at the house. I don't know. She strikes me as like a female who like would want to know, like, would he be interested in me? Like, it would like, she'd get off on like knowing, like, Pointer Lover says, I think she did too. Perry says, yup. Bean Bio Girl says, yes, for the love of our founding fathers. She was all about John. Yes. Yes. Right. What a catch. Sarcasm. Hi, OCD. Good to see you. We're just going through Jen McCabe's cross-examination and reading some of the comments on the court TV video of it. That's interesting. So let's see what the comments say underneath, like underneath the hots for John O'Keefe. Jen had the hots for John O'Keefe. Sounds like that. How do you know that? I tend to agree with you on that. I also think that she had jealousy towards Karen. 27 likes. Very possible. Would be interesting if she had more forthcoming as to why she deleted the butt dials. Yeah, I don't believe that at all. See, I do. I think so. I was kind of thinking it, but I was like, gosh, I don't want to like sensationalize this story any more than I have, but at the same time, like, I'm not the only one who's kind of getting these vibes. And why hasn't anyone in chat brought that up? Come on, guys. We were thinking the same thing. Why does she look at the jurors? She's trying to prove something. This judge is allowing a very combative witness. Unbelievable. Jackson, I never mentioned to Kevin. Priceless. What was that about? I must have missed that one. Wow, all the calls to John's phone after 12/18 alone prove they were looking for his phone. This is sickening. Prayers for John's family and Karen. These people are evil. So let's see a little more of her. This is her walking up to the stand, very beginning. Again, we're not going to go through the whole 4-hour clips. We kind of watched some of those from those highlights.
Thank you very much. May we have Ms. McCabe, please?
Hold on. What's going on? When it does that.
Walking to my car.
Ms. McCabe, family is important to you, is it not?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, it's probably fair to say that family is one of the most important things in your life.
Yes.
You indicated on Friday that you know John O'Keefe, or you knew John O'Keefe, and you considered him a friend.
Yes.
You also indicated that you know Ms. Reed, and at some point you considered her a friend.
Yes.
But clearly, John O'Keefe was not family, was he?
No.
He was not a McCabe, correct?
No.
He was not an Albert.
No.
Karen Reed is not family, correct?
Correct.
Not a McCabe?
No.
She's not an Albert.
No.
Ms. McCabe, when you were at Waterfall on the evening of the 28th, going into the early morning hours of the 29th, you spent some time with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
Correct.
You didn't see any tension between the two of them at the time?
No,
Matter of fact, they seemed like a normal couple to you?
I didn't see them interact much.
They were both engaging with you, correct?
I had separate conversations with them.
So John O'Keefe, we've seen from several videos, I'm not going to play the video, John O'Keefe was situated for the most part over in that corner as the camera is looking, the right corner of the bar, along with you, Nicole O'Keefe's, I think Matt McCabe was over there as well, correct?
I can't be sure, but I know I spoke to Karen in that corner.
And certainly you saw nothing to suggest that there was any tension or discord between and among those individuals, certainly between Ms. Reed and Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Correct.
When you left Fairview, were you among the first to leave or among the last to leave?
I left with, there was 4 of us that left total. It was myself, my husband, Matt, Julie Nago, and Sarah Levinson.
So all 4 of them leave together after, you know, now at this point, think about it. She thought John was coming to the party, was texting him, called him. He answered one of the calls too. So they had a conversation. And then now all of a sudden she's just leaving and none of them see John in the yard. And she's not wondering, like, where did he go? What happened? That's so strange. I thought he was coming over. They just get in their car and go home.
When you walked out, Karina Kolkithis was close by, close in town, correct?
Oh, wait, are you talking about leaving the waterfall?
The water.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was confused. I was talking about Fairview. Leaving the waterfall?
Correct.
Yes, we were one of the last to leave.
All right. And Miss Karina Kolkithis was sort of in tow right with you as you're walking, correct?
Yes.
And Karen Reed, my client, was also heading that direction as well, correct?
Yes.
And you said something to Miss Reed, did you not? As you walked out.
We were in a conversation. Yes.
Did you say specifically, you're coming with me to Karen?
No,
You didn't say that.
not exactly those words.
What exactly were the words that you used?
I said, why don't you come with me?
And you even waited outside in what was ultimately freezing cold temperatures for Miss Reed, correct?
Yes.
If you could take a look, Your Honor, with court's permission, Exhibit 53, I'd like to play about maybe a 15-second clip from that.
Okay.
Actually, it's a little bit longer than that. It may be a minute. Can we pause this?
Okay, so he's talking about leaving the bar. I thought he was talking about leaving the house. So just to clarify, she didn't leave the house with 4 people. She's leaving the bar with 4 people. But it still begs, you know, the answer of why nobody saw John laying in the yard that night.
For the record, Your Honor, this is about runtime 12:10 and 17 seconds or so. If you could move that up to 12:10 and about 45 seconds. That's close enough. Mr. McCabe, do you recognize what's depicted in this portion of the video?
I see a car. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know what that thing on the white thing is.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Let's see if you recognize any of this. Pause, please. Oh, that's a terrible place to pause. A little further. It's also not super clear. Can you see a person in that video?
From where I'm sitting now.
It's a little tough.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. Well, actually, we can advance that just a little bit. Did you see a person in the background right there?
Honestly, I can't make out what that is.
Let's play it forward and see if this helps. Okay. Now do you see a person?
Yes.
The lighting is terrible. I apologize. Not my video. Do you know who that person is?
I don't know.
That's you, isn't it?
I can't tell from that picture if that's me.
Okay, let's maybe play it a little bit further forward. Awesome. Now, with the flag out of the way, do you recognize anybody in the foreground down at the bottom right?
That looks to be John.
Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
Do you see someone to his right?
I do.
Oh, so she can spot John out, no problem.
Yes.
And who is that person?
I cannot make it out in the photo.
Let's go ahead and play forward. And pause. You see the person with the sort of white shoes just above the car.
Yes.
Does that appear to be you?
I can't make that out that it's me, but I know I was there and I know I spoke with them.
Okay, so you do recall walking outside and sort of waiting and hovering in about that area, correct?
I was talking with them.
Okay. Does it appear that you're talking with them in
No.
this frame?
That looks like they've walked away.
Right. As a matter of fact, it looked like they walked away without talking to you outside, correct?
Well, do you have video of moments before that when I was standing talking to them?
Well, see, this is the point where I get to ask the questions and you get to answer. So I'm
Okay.
asking you, do you see yourself standing in the
That's hilarious because I just feel like that one comment said, she's a very controlling woman, control freak, and she's trying to like control these questions. And Jackson's like, I get to ask the questions. You know, she's just like fuming now that she just got to the stand at this point.
the parking lot after John and the person to his right had walked off?
Yes.
Okay. Let's play for just a few more seconds. Pause. And what do you appear to be doing at that point?
Walking to my car.
Okay, so you turn around and left after Mr. O'Keefe and the person to his right walked away, correct?
Correct.
As you sit here, even though the video leaves a little to be desired, you know that John O'Keefe left with Karen, correct?
Yes,
So the person to his right, the more petite person with long hair, that would be Karen.
I would assume.
Okay, so you waited out in the parking lot for a few minutes after you said or joked, "You're coming with me," or something like that, correct?
I wouldn't, no, I was speaking to them and then I walked to my car.
You didn't say, "So Mr. O'Keefe, you're coming with me." You said to Karen Reed, "You're coming with me," or something to that effect, correct?
Mr. O'Keefe was not outside when I said to Karen, "You're coming with me." I told Karen, "You're coming with me," because John was still in the bar with Matt.
So you asked Karen to come with you in your car
Yes,
to give her a ride,
yes,
separate from John O'Keefe.
yes. I figured he could go with Matt because they were still in the bar.
Was there a reason why you wanted to separate Miss Reed from Mr. O'Keefe at that moment?
No,
Why not just walk to your car with Matt and go where you're going to go?
Matt was still inside.
So you thought it was important enough to make the statement, "You're coming with me," or something to that effect, to my client, to separate her from John O'Keefe, even though your testimony is John O'Keefe was just inside the bar.
Objection.
Sustained as to that form. Ask it differently.
Sure. Did you believe it was important at that point to ask Miss Reed to come with you, which would separate her from John O'Keefe?
There was never any idea of separating them.
Except for the fact the idea was, "You're coming with me," not "you two are coming with me," correct?
Incorrect.
By definition, if she came with you, you'd be separating her from John, wouldn't you?
We were standing outside
That question
talking.
could be answered yes or no. By definition, your statement to her, "You come with me," would separate her from John. wouldn't it?
Would not, because we were all going back to Fairview Road.
But not at the same time, ma'am. Correct? Your idea is to bring Karen with you, separate and apart from John.
We were waiting for John to come out, and I said, "Why don't you just come with me?" It was innocent.
I'm not asking for your explanation. You'll get to that with Mr. Lowell.
Isn't it funny how she has to reiterate it was innocent? It's like we didn't ask if it was nefarious or innocent. Like you don't have to sell us with your language. Melly says, if I were her, I'd for sure be embarrassed. One thing is being innocent and likable, and another is making yourself look like a catty person. Exactly. I wonder if she's watched some of this back and been like, ugh. I mean, look at some of her facial expressions. Like, she doesn't smile very often. She doesn't have that, like, sweet face, you know? Like, she doesn't have an approachable vibe to her. Modine says, Karen Reed is cooked. I don't know, Mo. After today, I think the defense was on fire today. They did really, really well. But, I mean, other people see things differently. Yeah, the lady doth protest too much. Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for a yes or no question or yes or no answer. By definition, your invitation would separate Karen from John, would it not?
Objection.
Wide open.
Sustained. Move on.
Would it or would not separate John and Karen for the ride home?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, when you arrived at Fairview, some folks were already there, correct?
Yes.
Who was already there?
Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson, and Brian Albert Jr.
And then you arrived, as we saw, you walked through the parking lot, got in your car, you arrived, I presume, with your husband, Matt.
Yes, correct.
I want to ask a question about Mr. Higgins.
Mhm.
You testified on Friday that you saw his vehicle when you got to the scene, correct?
Yes.
And you said that it was pulled up a little bit in front of the mailbox, correct?
Yes.
Give me exhibit 66 with the court's permission, please.
Okay.
This is a digital model of the location. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Does it appear to be a relative scale model of 34 Fairview?
Yes.
This would be the front door, correct?
Yes.
And where's the mailbox? If you can point to it with a laser pointer. Okay, so you're pointing to an area just in front of a car that's in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
And then the driveway's to the right?
Yes.
And then along this line is the front lawn area and property line of 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
You indicated that that Jeep was just a little bit in front of the mailbox, meaning about there, correct?
Yes.
And the rear end of that Jeep would be butting up against the driveway,
Yes.
or at least the line of the driveway, correct?
Yes.
That's quite a bit of detail about where that Jeep was. Would you agree?
No, because I drove down the street and I took a left into the driveway and there was a Jeep there.
Okay. What I'm asking is, you didn't just say, your memory was not just somewhere in front of a house. It's literally right in front of the mailbox, the front end of it, adjoining the line of the driveway, correct?
Yes,
That detail obviously stuck out in your mind.
it did because I was wondering whose Jeep it was.
Did you discuss that detail with your husband at any point?
Not sure.
You're not sure? You might have.
I'm not sure if I said whose Jeep is that.
No, I don't mean then. I mean between then and now. Have you and Mr. McCabe ever discussed where that Jeep was, or your memories of where that Jeep was?
Possibly.
You're aware that he put the Jeep in the exact same place that you did.
Objection.
Are you aware of that?
I am. Oh, wait, no. Excuse me. Repeat the question.
You're aware that he puts the Jeep in the exact same spot you just put the Jeep, right in front of that mailbox, correct?
I know he knows where the Jeep was. I'm not aware what he said in here.
Does he know where the Jeep was because you told him what to say about the Jeep?
Absolutely not. It's because we drove together in the car and I asked. I possibly could have asked.
One at a time, please, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Getting so mad. Like, there's no reason to be mad like this. And you can't tell me that she didn't talk to him about, statements to say and all that personally. And hello, Sleuthy Goosey. Good to see you. So glad you're here. Great timeline on this case. I know that you are following it very closely. I've been following your live streams with criminality as well. So it's crazy. Today was a good day for the defense. I'm curious, Sleuthy, what you thought of it. When you butt dial once, you usually don't do it 5 more times. Right. And in between all those butt dials, text message the person too. Because the text messages are right in that timeline of as those butt dials were.
I didn't mean to step on your words. I thought you.
That's okay. You can continue.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I don't think we got your answer, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Madam Court Reporter was asking for your answer.
Can you repeat your answer?
To the question of did he know where the Jeep was?
Whether or not you told him where the Jeep was.
I did not need to tell Matt where the Jeep was. He knew because we were in the car together.
But you two discussed it.
When are you asking?
At any time between January 29th and today.
I'm sure we have, yes.
You were also interviewed by Trooper Proctor on January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
And you were asked a series of open-ended questions. What did you see? Where did you see it? Correct?
Yes.
Have we put any words in your mouth?
No.
They told you what to say at that time.
No.
And you told Trooper Proctor that when you arrived at the scene, after you got there, you, quote, first observed the vehicle, meaning Miss Reed's SUV, parked on the street by the driveway facing the direction of Chapman, correct?
Do you have something I can look at to refresh my memory?
Sure. Do you not have a memory of exactly what you told Trooper Proctor?
Well, I know what I.
Yes or no? You need your memory refreshed?
I would like to see what the report says, please.
Permission? Yes. Thank you. Paragraph 3. This is the face page. You'll review that, especially the highlighted portion. Let me know after you've reviewed it. Just read it to yourself. Do you have that? Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, I know. I told.
All I'm asking you, I'm so sorry to do this. I don't mean to be rude. I'm just asking you, does that or does that not refresh your recollection?
Regarding
What you said to Trooper Proctor on the 29th.
Well, I know what I said to Proctor Trooper on the 29th.
Okay. I have to do it this way. It's court rules. Does that help you with your recollection of what you told Trooper Proctor?
I didn't tell Trooper. I told Trooper Proctor the car was outside. When I looked at the front door, it was straight outside.
Okay. I can't quite get the answer I'm looking for. The court is going to require me to ask this question again. Does that refresh your recollection, yes or no, as to what you told Trooper Proctor? Yes.
I did not say this to Trooper Proctor. No.
It doesn't help you.
No.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. So you did speak to Trooper Proctor on the 29th, correct?
Correct.
And Trooper Proctor asked you some very specific questions about where things were, correct?
Correct.
Focused on Miss Reed's SUV, didn't he? Asked you questions about where Miss Reed's SUV
You
was.
can show me in the report.
Just read it.
So just off of what I just read, is that what you're going off of? Yes.
I'm asking.
Oh my gosh, just answer the question. If you're telling the truth, the answers to the questions will be the same. You don't need to look at the report. Oh my gosh. MK, I love Boston. My uncle lives there. I've visited it so many times. But wow. Hopefully there's never an instance where I need, cops assistance when I visit.
For your memory, you're testifying.
Yes. So my memory is exactly where the car was.
Hold on. So it's very important that both of you, one person at a time, speaks.
Okay.
Madam Court Reporter has to do what you're both saying, and she can't do it simultaneously. So the best way to do that is, Ms. McCabe, just let counsel ask the question and then you answer. And if it takes a lot more time than we expect it to take, it does. Okay, so just go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Robert. I'll slow it down. Did you talk to Trooper Proctor about where the SUV was?
Yes.
Thank you. And he asked you questions about where it was situated outside, correct?
Yes.
And you told him that you first observed it parked on the street by the driveway facing the direction of Chapman, correct?
I told him that when I looked out the front door, the car was straight ahead. And yes, it was facing up Chapman.
But you left out a little part by the driveway, correct?
That could have been his interpretation or an error on his part.
I see. So Trooper Proctor is wrong about what you said.
Objection.
No, I'll let him have it. Do you think he's wrong about what you said?
I 100% said it was straight out the front door.
Okay, next question, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. And during the course of that conversation, you never once, Ms. McCabe, not once, mentioned a several-ton Jeep with a snowplow attached to it, did you?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Let's take another look at the report. Would that refresh your recollection to see the report?
Objection.
Do you think that will help you?
I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Direct your attention once again to paragraph 3. You've had an opportunity to review.
I have, yeah.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That looks like a report from Trooper Proctor of your interview, correct?
Correct.
That interview was taken on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
That interview was taken just a few hours, not days or weeks, hours after the events in question, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked what you saw, what you observed in front of 34 Fairview on that morning, correct? I'm sorry, the night before, correct?
He asked specific questions about Miss Reed's vehicle.
Okay. And when you said where you remember Miss Reed's vehicle being, you placed it in the exact spot where you're now saying there was a Jeep with a snowplow on it, correct?
Incorrect. I never placed Miss Reed's car in the spot where Mr. Higgins' vehicle was.
So as Trooper Proctor was taking notes about what you were saying, he just got it wrong.
You'd have to ask Trooper Proctor.
I will. And you never mentioned, according to that report, not one word about a Jeep, right?
I may never have been asked about a Jeep.
So if you weren't asked about a Jeep, you also weren't asked about a Nissan Altima. Mention that?
No.
Right. Because what he asked you was, what did you observe in front of the house? Now, that's what he asked you, wasn't it?
No.
And you said, I observed her car by the house.
No.
And you never mentioned the Jeep, did you?
You are not portraying what the conversation was.
Did you or did you not mention the Jeep sitting on that right by that driveway, Trooper Proctor? Yes or no?
It's not in the report. I don't recall if he asked me about a Jeep.
Now, following the events of January 28th, 29th, you spoke extensively to Chris and Julie Albert, correct?
What do you mean by extensively?
Did you speak at all?
Yes, we did.
Between then and now to Chris and Julie Albert.
Do I speak to Chris and Julie Albert?
Have you spoken to them about these events between then and now?
About this case? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, Mr. McCabe, I'm asking about this case.
Of course, I speak to them all the time about the vicious harassment we are all receiving.
That wasn't my question. My question was, did you talk to them about this case, Mr. McCabe?
And instead of just answering yes or no, did you talk to them about this case? She's got to throw in this whole, oh, woe is me, give us sympathy, all this harassment we've been getting. Yeah, well, I can't imagine that's going to diminish after this whole testimony today. So you might want to strap in and get used to it because people are not liking you. I mean, just based off of those comments we were reading about her, with over 50 likes on some of the comments, I mean, people all have the same kind of vibe from her. And I'm feeling like the jury probably does too.
Yes.
I realize you want to give additional answers in the editorial. I'm asking you very specific questions.
Objection.
Okay, so objection as to the form. We've talked about this at sidebar, Mr. Jackson.
You've talked to them about the details of that night, correct? The 28th going into the morning of the 29th?
Yes.
You've talked to them about what happened at the bar, correct?
We've spoke about how we were all at the bar and Karen and John came in.
Is that yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You've spoken to them about your memory of what happened at the house at 34 Fairview that night, correct?
Yes.
You've spoken to them about who was at the bar, not just what happened, but who was there, correct?
Correct.
You talked to them about the timing of the night, correct?
I don't think specifically, no.
When people came to the bar, when they left, when people got to Fairview, when they left Fairview, things of that.
Yes, Johnny. He says, she seems like a powerful woman. She also is lacking love in her life. Very angry, but I think is from being lonely. Interesting. She reminds me of a desperate housewife. Like, that's why when we were talking earlier about saying, like, I think she had a thing for John. Like, I think even if he never would have picked up her flirting at him, if that even took place, I think that she would just get off of knowing like, oh, he finds me attractive. I just think that she's that desperate type. It's hard to explain unless you know what I'm talking about. Pointer Lover says, why is the judge letting her keep doing this? She will never live this down, and that is her choice. Exactly. Just like Amber Heard on the trial during her trial and how combative and hostile she was, and she dug herself her own hole. People did not like her for her demeanor on the stand, obviously, and also not for how she treated Johnny Depp, but still, people are agreeing with your comment, Johnny. I was wondering whether I'm just biased, but there's no way she's endearing herself to the jury, right? I'm very curious how they're feeling about her.
That nature.
Well, they were at the bar, so they know who was there and when they left.
And ask if you know what they know. I'm asking if you've ever spoken to them about these issues. Yes or no?
I can't be sure if we've spoken about the timeline.
And you've talked to them about when they got there and when they left.
I have no idea when they arrived at the waterfall.
Once again, Ms. McCabe, that's not what my question was. Do you understand my question? Have you spoken to them about their memory of of that night and when they came in?
They have not shared with me when they got there or when they left.
In the 2 years or 2.5 years since this event, you've had extensive conversations with your friends and family about this circumstance, correct?
Correct. Yes.
You've told them your observations, your story, correct?
Correct.
Your observations of the night.
Correct.
And they've told you their observations of the night, correct?
Correct.
So y'all have compared and contrasted your perspectives of what happened that night, correct?
We've tried to figure out what happened to John, our friend.
And you've talked to them extensively about your observations and what your story or your version is that right?
To be honest, not extensively. Speaking about it is very painful and difficult.
What does extensively mean? More than twice?
Well, you tell me.
I'm asking the questions, Ms. McCabe. That's how this works.
I understand, but extensively would mean almost every day.
Do you talk to them almost every day?
I do, but not about the case.
Subjects about this case come up every day?
The harassment of the case does, yes.
What about the specific facts of the case?
No, it's the facts aren't spoken as much as the vicious harassment is spoken about.
Understood. So you've told them your version of the events, correct? And they've told you their version of the events.
Correct.
And remind me, Chris and Julie Albert are, in fact, Colin's parents.
Correct.
At some point, you became aware that your daughter, Allie, was involved in this matter to some extent, correct?
Yes.
You became aware that there was an extraction of your phone that revealed some data about her whereabouts.
That's not how I became aware now.
Like 360?
Yes, I know what that is.
That's what I'm asking about.
Mhm.
You became aware that you know your phone was extracted, correct?
I willingly handed over my phone.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
You know that your phone was extracted.
Yes, I handed it over.
And you know that your daughter's whereabouts were revealed based on data on that phone, correct?
That is not how I became aware of my daughter's whereabouts.
You testified at the state grand jury, questioned by Mr. Lally, correct?
Yes.
You were asked about the Life 360.
Yes.
You answered those questions very fluidly.
Yes.
Yes, I know what the Life 360 is. I use it all the time. It's an app, etc.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go over that for a second. You admitted that it works as a, quote, GPS as far as where people go and everywhere that you go, correct?
Correct.
You indicated that it works as a reliable, quote, unquote, tracking device, was your testimony.
Correct.
You indicated that you rely on it, quote, so you know where your kids are at all times. Is that right?
Correct.
And you even said that it's a, quote, unquote, good parenting tool. Is that right?
Correct.
And the reason you said that is because it's accurate in your experience and it's reliable. Is that right?
It's a good tool, but it is not always accurate.
But you said, when you testified in front of the great grand jury, that it's accurate and it works as a GPS as far as where you go and everywhere you go, correct?
Objection.
Did you say that? Can I see it?
Sure. May I approach you?
Yes.
Lines 13.
You said 13 through 15?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection?
It does, yes.
Question and answer?
Well, I just don't see the word accurate on there. I don't know if I missed it.
Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection as to the question and answer about whether you said it works as sort of a GPS as far as where you go and everywhere that you go?
Correct.
And your answer was, yeah. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So where did Allie go after she supposedly dropped off Colin Albert?
She went nowhere.
Did you check her Life 360 app to verify that she went, quote, nowhere?
At that point, I had no reason to check her.
So the answer is no, you didn't.
No.
Okay. Did you ever verify through the 360 app that in fact Allie did not go home, but rather was out driving until after 1:30 a.m.? check the app and see that?
Did I ever check Life 360 app for that?
Yep.
No.
Okay. But you believed her when she said she came home.
Yes.
And just like you believed her when she said she picked up Colin, dropped him off, and then came home.
Yes.
The Alberts have a dog, had a dog, pardon me, correct?
Yes.
What's the dog's name?
Chloe.
You indicated that on the morning of January 29th, after 6 a.m., it was still relatively dark out, you burst into the bedroom of Brian and Nicole Alberts' home, correct?
Yes.
You did that specifically to wake up, according to you, Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, correct?
Yes.
Where was Chloe?
I don't know.
So you'll agree that, at least from their perspective, you walked in the front door unexpectedly, correct?
Yes.
You walked upstairs unexpectedly, correct?
Yes.
Still dark outside, right?
Yes.
You walked through their door and you said you burst into the door into a dark room where they were sleeping, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Albert said that you were somewhat hysterical. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
You were loud, right?
I was trying to wake them up.
You were somewhat chaotic.
Yes.
And you don't remember a 70-pound German Shepherd having any reaction.
No.
In fact, you don't remember the dog being there at all, correct?
Correct.
You never saw that dog, correct?
I have no memory of seeing that dog.
Okay, so as you sit here today,
Mhm.
you cannot say that the dog was here because you don't have a memory of ever seeing it.
I did not see it, no.
And remind me once again, when you were leaving that night, that early morning before,
Mhm.
who was the last person to leave? Was it Caitlin?
I believe she left after us.
We talked about this, and I want to get into a little bit more detail about it. You indicated that at some point you looked outside and you saw Karen Reed's SUV in front of the house. Safe to say, correct?
Correct.
About what time was that you first saw it?
I can just give you maybe approximates. I know I texted when I saw them, so whatever time that was.
All right, let's see if we can narrow that down just a little bit. You also indicated that you saw Ryan Nagel's vehicle outside.
Saw lights.
Okay. Lights belonging to the vehicle, right?
Yes, I knew there was another vehicle outside.
And where was that in relation to Miss Reed's vehicle?
It was behind it. I didn't pay much attention to it.
Okay. And
So looking at the timeline, at 12:27 is when she texted John and says, here. At 12:15, she says, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe and Ryan Nagel say they see Reed's car outside. So she stated at 12:15 she saw Karen's car outside, and then 12 minutes later, she texts John and says, here.
in fact, you don't remember the dog being there at all, correct?
Correct.
You never saw that dog, correct?
I have no memory of seeing that dog.
Okay, so as you sit here today,
Mhm.
you cannot say that the dog was here because you don't have a memory of ever seeing it.
I did not see it, no.
And remind me once again, when you were leaving that night, that early morning before,
Mhm.
who was the last person to leave? Was it Caitlin?
I believe she left after us.
We talked about this, and I want to get into a little bit more detail about it. You indicated that at some point you looked outside and you saw Karen Reed's SUV in front of the house. Safe to say, correct?
Correct.
About what time was that you first saw it?
I can just give you maybe approximates. I know I texted when I saw them, so whatever time that was.
All right, let's see if we can narrow that down just a little bit. You also indicated that you saw Ryan Nagel's vehicle outside.
Saw lights.
Okay. Lights belonging to the vehicle, right?
Yes, I knew there was another vehicle outside.
And where was that in relation to Miss Reed's vehicle?
It was behind it. I didn't pay much attention to it.
Okay. And where was the Jeep in relation to Ryan Nagel's vehicle and Karen Reed's SUV?
I remember seeing Karen Reed's SUV straight, and then I saw the lights of Ryan Nagel. I did not pay attention to where it was. I was just looking at Miss Reed's vehicle.
Was Ryan Nagel's vehicle and those lights that you remember, were they in front of the Jeep or behind the Jeep?
I am not certain.
Haven't you testified previously that you remember the Jeep being between Ryan Nagel's vehicle and the SUV?
I am not certain where Ryan Nagel's vehicle was.
So as you sit here now, you don't know if it was in front of the Jeep as you placed it by the mailbox.
It would be
Let me finish my question. Behind the Jeep or somewhere in between.
It definitely was not in front of the Jeep.
Definitely was not in front of the Jeep.
No.
So it was definitely behind the Jeep.
Behind or to the side, I'm not sure.
Well, if it's parked on the street in front of the house, it's not going to be beside the Jeep, right? That's going to be in the middle of the
It
road.
would have been in the middle of the road, correct.
All
So if it's pulled over, it's behind the Jeep.
Okay, so now we've narrowed that down. It's Karen Reed's SUV as we're looking at the property. Karen Reed's SUV. To the right of that, as we're looking at from the street, at the property. To the right of that Jeep. Behind that, Ryan Nagel's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
You sure about that?
If my memory serves right, yes.
If your memory serves you. Okay. So you were asked about the arrival of Mr. Nagel's car at the state grand jury. Do you recall that?
I believe so.
That was in April 26th, 2022. Just
Okay.
for your memory. Okay. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
I expect you to
Yes.
arrive that day.
Yes.
You were asked what time did you see Ryan Nagel's vehicle arrive at the location, and you indicated that it was 12:23. You remember that?
Do you have it?
I do. Yeah.
Yes.
Take a look at.
All right. So I think we're going to end it here. Again, this goes on and on for another 3 hours. We watched some of the highlights earlier in the chat. Yeah, there's no way that we'd be able to sit here all night. Although I did have fun listening to this with you guys. Maybe there'll be other episodes on Court TV or other channels that do like more highlights from this, where we don't have to watch the whole thing together. But I had a good time watching this with you guys. Definitely don't feel like she is believable. I'm curious, do you guys find her believable? Let me know. Let's see if there's any other comments to read first before we close out. Do you notice Matt McCabe and Jen McCabe both snicker and smile like it's a joke or something? She looks like she brings wine in her Stanley cup to her kiddos' soccer games and then lies about what's in the cup. This is all about the investigators failing to do their job for John O'Keefe. Every witness should be isolated and interviewed on camera immediately. That's what investigators usually do. But they didn't do that because they were all buddies. But John, the guy, Karen were not their buddies. Bottom line, law enforcement failed, and now Karen's attorneys have to try to do the job they should have done years ago. And no matter how you slice it, it's a disgrace to John O'Keefe. Totally agree there. I appreciate you guys being here, and thank you so much to all the moderators. We might be able to do this again, like once they cross-examine Carrie, the other friend who was there on scene when they discovered John. Doesn't seem like people are believing her. Nope. Yes, thank you guys so much. Pointer lover, yep, I agree. She's so far from honest. She may well be guilty, but they're not proving it. Right, that's the other thing too, is like, what if, I'm not feeling like it because Commonwealth hasn't met their burden of proof, but, imagine if Karen really did do this and Commonwealth is failing this miserably. Like that, I don't know. If I was on the jury, though, I'm sorry, but there's no way I would be saying guilty. I just really think that this is sort of a sham, and they are kind of framing Karen at this point. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Again, I'm going out of town. Thank you, Pizza Chemist, for gifting 5 memberships, and welcome to those new members. Thank you, Sherry, and everyone else who joined. So I'm going out of town to visit family and go to a wedding. I'll be back. So I hope to see you guys soon. And thank you, everyone who participated in chat. Thank you, Missy L. And yeah, just appreciate you guys very much. And thank you, Pizza Chemist. So yeah, we'll talk very soon. Thank you, Melly. I really appreciate your comments in chat too. You give good insight. You guys all do. I really appreciate everyone's comments, even those who I don't really agree with. Like, I appreciate your input. Some people do think that Karen Read is cooked. I don't see it that way. I'm trying to look at this very unbiasedly, but it's just not, like I said, Commonwealth has not met the burden of proof, in my opinion. All right, guys, so we're going to end this, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. And I hope you guys have a great week and weekend. Probably be back either Monday or Tuesday next week. We'll figure it out. But yeah, talk to you guys later. And thank you to all my moderators and everyone else. Bye-bye.